all the
I think it's going to get harder as we go on in education because they're going to be changing how to evaluate teachers by testing. Right now I'm hoping I get picked for this pilot program to discuss like how you're going to test like subjective performance.
Right.
You know, all the electives we're trying to decide, how are you going to test that? Like, it's very subjective. Even when we spell it out in a rubric, it's still subjective. For example, like, I might say to someone, I don't like the way you're playing that. That's me personally, but let them know I don't like it, but you can go somewhere else and someone else might like it. You know, you have to kind of have a thick skin. So sometimes I think if you're going to be a performer, that you have to kind of get that background that people aren't going to like you, and you still have to like, all right, I'm going to find it in myself and be who I am still. We think music has to sound good together.
Right.
You know, a lot of times in one of my classes I'll play, I'm like, okay, what's this? And I'll play on the piano like a third or something, like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's harmony, and then I'll play like every single chord and they're like, oh, that's not harmony, that's ugly. And I'm like, yeah, it is harmony, you know, it's like, it's life. There's grit, and then there's like this nice stuff, and then there's this chord which is like melancholy, it's all together. And you know, it's interesting to hear what kids think about that. So how about if someone's subjective and we're playing some really dissonant stuff and they're like, that was terrible. I'm like, well, it's supposed to sound like that, you know? So there are basic music skill sets that can be measured, but I think you're turning away some kids who haven't had the opportunity to pay to have music lessons or a lot of reinforcement of reading music. Like music literacy to me is important, but it's not the end all because, as we say, music is an oral tradition. I think in Europe they're much more open to that in their education. Like there's a lot more academic studies that prove that music's oral and that sometimes like just judging by music literacy standards is not the way to say that you get music. Last week I was talking a lot about this when they were doing the duets. I was like, just because we're playing free doesn't mean that you have to play squeaky, farty, dissonant stuff. You could play a beautiful ballad that's like a country song, but you're listening, and that's what you want to do, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes this gets this misconception that if you're playing free, that it's going to be so abstract and out there that no one's going to get it. That is, oh, I have to have a degree to understand that.
Improvised music, free music, it's not horrible music.
Yeah.
It's not scary music. It's not like excruciating to listen to.
Yeah.
It can be anything.
Yeah.
It really can. You know, you don't have to be afraid of it.
And I think like some kids grow up doing that because when they jam playing their rock band stuff, they're doing that. I mean, yeah, they're playing like power chords or whatever, and it sounds like rock music, but really they're improvising and building off one another. They already have those skills applicable to music because they jam in their basements or whatever. That's improvising.